There once was a dude named Crypt. The brains of some people he ripped. He pulled out my lobe with a nice anal probe, then back to the saucer he dipped. Hey guys, James here again, and today I want to talk about Destroy All Humans, the 2020 remake of the 2005 cult classic, open world, alien invasion game. What a mouthful. In this game, you play as Crypto-137, a member of the Furon race who comes down to 1950s America after his predecessor is captured by humans in New Mexico. You then attempt to figure out what they're doing with him, and then you wreak havoc and destroy all humans. If I had to compare this game to other games, I think the most obvious comparison would be a GTA game, but with aliens. The missions feel very similar to those you might find in any number of open world games, and the open world roaming feels very similar to GTA, but of course with aliens. This was always a game I wanted to play as a kid, and I always remember seeing ads and reviews for the game. Now, I finally got to play it at the suggestion of a fan, but did it live up to my expectations? Let's dive into this review. So like I mentioned before, in this game, you play as Crypto-137, a gray alien dude who is awakened after his clone predecessor is captured during a scouting run. In your first mission, you set down on a farm area and begin to learn about your different abilities. You start off with basic ones like the ability to read minds, you have psychokinesis, which allows you to lift and throw objects and people. You can extract the brains of people to give yourself DNA points, which act as the main currency in the game. And you're also armed with a Zap-O-Matic, which is a gun that lets you shock people. Throughout the game and the different missions, you unlock different weapons and tools, such as an anal probe, which does exactly what it sounds like, a blaster, a grenade launcher, a jetpack, and the ability to skate around the map. Another important set of abilities revolve around your psychic abilities, such as the ability to take form of a human to stay concealed amongst the populace, the ability to wipe someone's memory, the ability to manipulate someone into dancing and distracting people around them, and the ability to mind control and make someone follow you around. Everything I listed above is what you're armed with while on foot, but often you'll find yourself in your flying saucer as well, and there you're armed with a unique set of different weapons and abilities. Your saucer has a variety of weapons including a death ray, a sonic boom, and a massive explosive. Meanwhile, you can also extract brains of people, abduct and toss people and objects, and extract shields and ammo from other vehicles. Overall, I think they give you a really nice set of diverse abilities. At the main hub, you can also upgrade your abilities to make them stronger, or give them different bonuses which can be both useful and hilarious. All of these different abilities and weapons are going to be useful in the various missions and escapades you engage in, and with a wide assortment, you do have a bit of freedom on how you approach things. Speaking of the missions, in Destroy All Humans, you play through over 20 story missions which place you in different locales and throw different objectives at you. These missions will place you on foot most of the time, but will also sprinkle in some objectives to complete while in your saucer as well. I like the missions overall, and there's actually a decent variety of different mission types. There's some stealth missions, some defense missions, some full-out assault missions, and I also like the boss fights quite a bit as well. I also liked how they give you optional objectives which would change how you might need to approach certain missions. I do think at times the combat did get a little repetitive though, and maybe would have liked some more enemy types other than dudes who just shoot at you. They do have one pretty unique enemy type later on, but I think fighting most enemies ended up feeling very much the same. Still, the combat can be fun, and funny enough where it should be fun to just mess around and try and anal probe everyone, or do whatever the heck you want to do. I did feel though that some of the missions, particularly some of the early ones, felt very quick, and like you'd be able to complete them in just a few minutes. In fact, the main game itself is fairly short, coming in at around maybe 10 hours, but I actually do think that this is a pretty good length for the game. One of the highlights of the different missions would have to be the story and cutscenes. While the story itself I don't think was anything that interesting, although I guess seeing an alien invasion from the perspective of aliens is pretty cool, the cutscenes are really where it's at. The different cutscenes are just really well done, with great humorous writing and good voice acting as well. The humor extends outside of the cutscenes as well and into the world. This is particularly true as you read people's minds to hear their inner thoughts, and it can also be funny to listen to the different reactions of people when they see or are attacked by you.
Getting flashbacks.
They parody a lot of alien movies, and with the setting in late 50s America, they poke a lot of fun at Americans at the time. It's particularly interesting to think back on now, as the Cold War era was of course defined by fears around communism and the others invading, and that's part of why alien invasion movies were so common in pop culture at the time. Interestingly enough, it's still oddly relevant now as we look at the political landscape of today. Outside of the main missions, you also have the ability to free roam in any of the locales that you visited before. This is where the game is much more reminiscent of GTA. In the open world, you're pretty much given free reign to wreak havoc on the people of Earth, and this can be a lot of dumb fun. Similar to GTA, they also have a wanted level system where the more destruction you bring, the higher the level resistance you'll meet. This will range from local police and then all the way up to the highest levels of the US military. In the free roam, you can also engage in some different challenges, although I think you might not really be able to do some of these challenges until you beat the main game and get a nice number of upgrades in. These challenges include Armageddon challenges, where you try to destroy as much of the world as possible in your saucer, Rampage challenges, where you try and wreak as much havoc as possible on foot, killing as many humans or certain enemy types as possible. There's Abduction challenges, where you try and collect as much of a specified object type as possible, including people and objects in the world so they can be analyzed. And finally, there's Race challenges, where you chase a rogue probe and collect the data that it drops. You need to catch it before the time ends and collect as much of the points as you can. These challenges can actually be pretty challenging, especially if you're going after 3 stars, but these can be fun little side activities to engage in after the game. The game also has a collectible in the form of Furon probes, which are scattered in different areas of the map. Collecting them grants you DNA, and it's a nice way of promoting you to explore the world. I think the main system that I wasn't really a huge fan of would have to be the ammo system. Whether on foot or in your saucer, you need to use the transmogrify ability in order to morph matter into ammo. This process was just a little bit slow and left you open, which maybe was the point, but overall, I just didn't like the ammo system very much. Ultimately though, the game is a huge power fantasy and has a lot of dumb fun. If you enjoy messing around in GTA, you'll probably enjoy messing around in Destroy All Humans as well. Although I do think to an extent, the amount that you can do in Destroy All Humans is a bit more limited, and I think you'll be creating a lot of your own fun, especially with the different abilities that you have. Outside of the gameplay, they also give you a nice assortment of extras, including alternate skins which you can unlock by completing optional objectives, as well as artwork, which is always a treat for those who are interested. With regards to the technical stuff, I think overall it's really good, although not always perfect. The graphics are nice, and overall I thought the remaster looks good. The graphic style is cartoonish and colorful, though some of the humans just don't look very great, maybe by design. I thought the audio was solid, mainly because I think the voice acting is good, but I do think that you can somewhat tell that some of the audio is from the 2005 game, as you'll notice fairly early on that the audio sounds a bit odd and maybe compressed. There were also just some parts of the missions where you need to select voice options, and these felt a little bit awkward. I think the soundtrack is really well done as well. It's cinematic and very fitting and appropriate for an alien invasion theme. Overall though, I did enjoy my time with Destroy All Humans, but I do think the age shows just a bit. What I'll say is, Destroy All Humans is a game that basks in pure gameplay and really does a good job with making you feel like an alien invader. The issue is that it can be a bit repetitive at times though, and it would have benefited from more variety of enemies and mission types. Is it worth the $30 price tag? Honestly, the $30 price tag is actually pretty solid, I'd say, but I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to wait for it to be $20 or so, especially since this is pretty much a 15-year-old game. If I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 4. It's a good game and it's fun to mess around in, but I do think the game might have benefited from a remake rather than a remaster. Regardless, I really did enjoy my time with it, and I think it's a really good length for a game, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the remaster of the sequel and how they might have evolved that game from the original. But hey, that's just me. Let me know down below what you think. Did you enjoy the original Destroy All Humans, and what did you think of the remaster? And of course, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button to help out the channel, and as usual, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.